The novel Land of Zikola, Ard Zikola, by the Egyptian author Amr Abdel Hamid. And so, every day, he sat alone in his small room, pen in hand, and wrote the same ritual introduction. I am Khaled Hosni, 28 years old, a graduate of Cairo University's Faculty of Commerce, class of 6 years ago. My hometown is a small village called Al-Bahu Frik, in the Daqahliya Governorate. Today, my request to marry the woman I love was rejected for the 8th time, for the same reason. He would stare at the paper for a moment before pinning it to the wall beside 7 other sheets, each yellowing with time. The first one carried only his name, age, and hometown, ending with the line, "My request to marry the woman I love was rejected today." The second, rejected for the 2nd time. The third, rejected for the 3rd time. And so on, until the 7th. Leaning back, Khaled let his eyes wander to the ceiling. His thoughts drifted, carrying him 6 years into the past, to his final year at university, when fate had arranged his first meeting with Mona. She was from his own village, though they had never met before. They ran into each other on the road from the village to Cairo, and his joy had only grown when he discovered she was in her first year at the same faculty. From that day, their encounters became frequent, sometimes planned, sometimes by sheer chance. His gaze shifted to a large sheet of paper pinned beneath the 8 smaller ones. Written on it, in bold letters, was, "Rejected for the same reason, Mona's lunatic father." Khaled always chuckled bitterly at the word lunatic, because everyone in the village knew exactly who that meant. But no one knew the extent of the man's madness more than Khaled himself. The first time Khaled had gone to propose, fresh out of university and full of hope, Mona's father had stared at him with an odd, calculating expression before asking, "Why do you want to marry Mona?" "What?" Khaled blinked, confused by the question. The man repeated, slower this time, "What have you done with your life?" The question had caught Khaled completely off guard, his face flushing red. "What have I done?" "Well, I graduated from Cairo University's Faculty of Commerce. You know my parents died when I was young, and I live with my grandfather. I'm exempt from military service, and I'm currently looking for a suitable job." Mona's father cut him off. "And what makes you different from any other man? Why should I give you my daughter?" And with that, the meeting was over. Back then, Khaled thought the rejection had been because he didn't yet have a job. But when he returned with a respectable position months later, the same questions came. The same rejection. What have you done with your life? What makes you different? Questions with no satisfactory answer. Not on the 2nd proposal, not on the 3rd, not even on the 8th. Mona's father never once considered Khaled's love for his daughter, or her love for him, until finally, Khaled's patience snapped. "What have I done with my life? Nothing. And what exactly do you want me to do? I know you fought in 73. Does that give you the right to insult us? You want a hero for a son-in-law? Fine. Tell me how to become one. Should I go fight in Iraq to make you happy?" His voice was sharp now, his eyes blazing. "I will marry Mona, whether you like it or not." The whole village knew Mona's father was an odd man. He wanted his daughter to marry someone unique, someone one of a kind. What that meant exactly, no one knew. But everyone knew that at this rate, Mona was doomed to remain unmarried as long as her father drew breath. Still, Khaled didn't give up. He only wondered, what could make him unique enough to satisfy the man's strange condition? He had no answer. In the quiet of his heart, he even prayed for her father's death. Normally cheerful and quick with a joke, Khaled had grown quieter over the years. The sadness was becoming a permanent shadow on his face, something even his grandfather, nearing 80, the man who had raised him since childhood, could not ignore. One evening, his grandfather asked gently, "Still upset? You should be used to it by now." Khaled shook his head. "I can't imagine her with anyone else. I don't know what he wants. Doesn't he know the age of miracles is over? And are you just going to sit here with your head in your hand? Well, what else can I do? The old man chuckled. If you want my advice, you'd better bury yourself in a crypt. Something in Khaled's eyes lit up. A crypt? He paused. Grandfather, do you remember when I was little, and you'd tell me the story about the underground passage beneath our village, the one you went into 50 years ago? His grandfather smiled faintly. Of course I remember. I used to tell you that whenever you cried. Do you want me to remind you of your childhood days? Khaled laughed. No. Tell me about the crypt. What really happened? The old man fell silent for a moment, lost in thought. We were 4 young men, always looking for trouble. We'd heard tales of a treasure hidden in an underground tunnel, running beneath the village, a tunnel once used by the wealthy to hide their valuables during invasions. Everyone knew the place existed, but no one dared go down there. They said it was haunted, that anyone who entered would never return. We didn't believe in such things, so we decided to try. They had found the entrance beneath a boulder in an abandoned house. Late one night, they rolled the stone aside and descended the long staircase, each carrying a gas lantern. We reached a narrow passage and walked only a few steps before the air grew so heavy we could barely breathe. Then, all at once, our lanterns went out. And in the darkness, one of the boys screamed, "A demon!" We didn't wait to see what it was. We turned and ran, our knees knocking together. From that night on, no one dared go back. Khaled laughed. Still, it's a good memory. At least you were brave enough to go down, even if you ran back up. Although, he grinned, maybe don't tell people about the knees knocking part. Later, alone in his room, Khaled lay awake thinking about his grandfather's story. It sounded like a legend, and yet the place was real. His grandfather never lied. His eyes fell again on the paper that read, "He wants someone unique. Unique enough to please his madness." And a thought came to him. If I can't marry Mona, I won't marry at all. Then louder, almost to the empty room. What if I went down into that crypt? What if there really is a treasure? Another voice inside his head scoffed. A treasure? That's madness. Don't forget. They say it's haunted. But a third voice, bolder, answered, If you're too much of a coward, then you don't deserve Mona. Is this the life you want? A commerce graduate working in a medicine warehouse, living off a salary that wouldn't last you half the month if not for your grandfather? If you love her, prove it to her and to yourself. If you find that treasure, you'll be the most famous man in the village. No. In Egypt. No. In the entire world. And if you don't, at least you'll know you tried. Khaled sat up suddenly, reached for Mona's photograph, and stared at it. I'm going down there, Mona. No matter what happens, I'm going. If your father's a madman, then so am I. Khaled thought he was talking to himself, alone in his room. He had no idea that someone was listening. Someone standing just outside the door, hearing every word he spoke aloud. His grandfather stood there, leaning slightly on his cane, expression calm and unreadable. Not a flicker of surprise crossed his face. It was as if Khaled's muttering about going down into the cellar was nothing unexpected, something the old man had almost been waiting to hear. He remained there until Khaled finally fell silent. The lights in the room clicked off, and the stillness of night settled in, broken only by the familiar sound his grandfather knew so well, the quiet rhythm of his grandson's breathing as he drifted into sleep. Later, the old man turned away, cane tapping softly against the floor as he made his way back to his room. He lowered himself onto his worn sofa and sat in silence for a few moments. Then, with a small movement of his cane, he pulled a small, time-worn wooden box closer. He opened it and drew out an old photo album, its leather cover coated in a thick layer of dust. Slowly, carefully, he turned the pages, each one revealing images faded by the years. his hand stilled on one particular photograph.